2021 for the Duggars. But before I begin, please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because I do plan on making more videos, including my history of the Duggars. Also, thank you guys so much. I'm almost at 200 subscribers. At the beginning of the year, I barely had 10. So 200 is a pretty good number, and I love you all. In case you're not aware of who the Duggars are, they are a reality show family. It started off in 2004 with 6 specials on Discovery Health. The show revolved around Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, who had 14 kids at the time. However, as their popularity grew, so did their family, and they would eventually get their own show on TLC called 19 Kids and Counting. This show would last from 2008 till 2015. It got canceled after a report that their oldest son Josh inappropriately touched his sisters and a babysitter when he was a teenager. It was also later discovered that same year that Josh was on the cheating website Ashley Madison, and yet his wife Anna still stood by his side. And the Duggar family would get a new show called Counting On. Now, this is just a brief history of who the Duggars are. I do plan on making a longer video about who they are. However, 2021 would show that the Duggars had more skeletons in their closet than originally thought. So here is my top 5 shocking Duggar news of 2021. But first, some honorable mentions that didn't make the list. First, Justin Duggar walking out of courtroom on day 2 with thumbs up and smile. This was definitely not an appropriate reaction after finding out what your brother has done. And it's also not appropriate how his mother-in-law pretty much came to his defense, trying to say that he was doing stuff positively. There's a time and a place for it, and this was not it. Next in honorable mentions, Counting On being canceled. Only reason it's shocking is because it took 2 months after Josh's arrest to finally cancel this show. Josh and Anna naming their 7th child Madison. The last name anyone ever imagined that they would name their kid was the website that Josh was trying to cheat on his wife with. Now on with the countdown. Just one day after Josh was found guilty, it was reported that earlier that year in September, Jana was cited for endangering the welfare of a minor in the 3rd degree. Now, Jana is known for watching a lot of the minor kids in the Duggar clan and the extended family. There was also rumors that she was arrested for this, which it turned out that was not true. Jana did make a statement saying that it was an accident. And I'll be honest, I believe Jana. Now, this is going to be the more lighthearted of all the shocking news. This is shocking because a lot of the Duggars have their relationships public, but Jed decided to keep his relationship a secret. However, a couple of online sleuths discovered the secret wedding, and even Jed's wife, Katie's family, posted something about their engagement a month before. But people were nonetheless surprised. After Jed's nuptials, he did confirm finally on Instagram that him and Katie did get married, and they wanted to keep their relationship private from the public. They also announced later that year that they were expecting their first child. 2021 was not a good year to be called Jim Bob Duggar. However, it didn't make things better when he announced on October 29th that he was running for state senate. Now, Jim Bob is not new to politics. In fact, he was a state representative for a couple of years, as well as his bid for U.S. Senate in the early 2000s that he lost. What made this announcement shocking was that in 1 month time, his son was going to go to trial. People were actually baffled that he would actually consider running, given that the last name Duggar was not a good reputation to have. It was also reported that Jim Bob spent $40,000 on this campaign, which he wound up losing. And sadly, this is not the end of Jim Bob making headlines. On November 18th, it was reported that Jim Bob was going to possibly be a witness for the prosecution. It was also reported that the prosecution was having a hard time getting in touch with Jim Bob, even though later that day on the Duggar family official Facebook page, that Jim Bob had a campaign rally at his house earlier that week. He was subpoenaed to testify in the evidentiary hearing that was going to happen the day before trial was set to start. And then he testified, in which he was questioned about the early 2000 incidences with Josh. He said he couldn't remember. He was also given a copy of the 2006 police report. Now, this report was obtained by In Touch Weekly. He later called it tabloid information and said to the judge, "I'm not going to allow this. Are you going to allow this?" Jim Bob trying to tell a judge what to do is not a good look, buddy. I should also note that when he did look at the police report, it said it didn't jog any memory. He was clearly lying on the stand in order for him not to be a witness in his son's trial
that our family's ever gone through. And our son Josh came to us on his own, and he was crying, and he had just turned 14, and he said that he had actually improperly touched some of our daughters. And it was...
We were shocked. I mean, we were just dead.
The judge ultimately decided not to use Jim Bob's testimony, saying, quote, "The court found Mr. Duggar's selective lapse in memory not to be credible." When a potential witness list was announced, a lot of people were baffled that Bobby Holt was going to take the stand. For those who don't know who Bobby Holt is, she is the wife of Tim Holt, who is best friends with Jim Bob Duggar, or once was best friends with Jim Bob Duggar. Now, Jim Holt was an elder at Jim Bob Duggar's church, and it was found out around the time that Josh started inappropriately touching his sisters that he confided in the Holts about what happened. There were several revelations revealed during Bobby Holt's testimony. For one, Josh was apparently in a courtship before Anna Duggar. Now, there were rumors for years that this was the case, and Bobby confirmed it during her testimony. However, this relationship did not last long because Josh did eventually confess to them about what he did to the youngest victim, who at the time was 5 years old. It was also revealed during Bobby's testimony that the incidences with Josh were a lot worse than people thought. For one thing, Jim Bob said in the Megyn Kelly interview that all the girls were asleep and did not know what was going on. However, in Bobby's testimony, it turned out that one of the girls was wakened up by Josh. It was also revealed that Josh started doing this at the age of 12. Now, I will leave the link to the People magazine article about Bobby's testimony in the description box below. Just be warned though, there are graphic descriptions of incidences that happened in Josh's past. Yep, in case you didn't guess it, Josh's arrest/trial is #1 on shocking news. It all started in November of 2019 when there was a rumor that the Duggars' properties were being raided, but it turned out it was just Josh's car lot. Even Jim Bob and Michelle called the news about the raid fake news, quote unquote. Now, since the 2015 incidences, Josh has been laying low, and even on April 23rd, they announced that they were having their 7th child, a girl. 6 days later, on April 29th, Josh was arrested by the federal agents. And the next day, it was discovered that Josh decided to plead not guilty to 2 charges of receiving and possessing CP, the legal term. Josh was later released on bond. He was not allowed to visit any minor children except for his own children while Anna was present, and he had to stay at a third-party custodial living situation. The original trial was set for July, however, it got moved to November. Jim Bob and Michelle released a statement saying, "We love Josh and Anna and continue to pray for their family." The trial officially started on November 30th with jury selection. The prosecution had a lot of evidence against Josh. However, the defense tried to blame it on somebody else, calling it a classic case of whodunit. Now, I do want to make another video in the future about the breakdown of the trial. However, I will leave in the description box below. The Sun did a fantastic job of a breakdown of each day. However, I will warn you, it's very repetitive and there are graphic details. Some of the Duggar family that did show up to trial was Jill and Derek. Jill was only there for the closing arguments. However, her husband Derek was there every single day, as well as Austin and his wife Joy. On December 9th, Josh was found guilty on both charges of CP, and sentencing will happen in sometime in 2022. And Josh decided to leave with one more mugshot, a smirk heard round the world. What was your most shocking Duggar moment of 2021? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you and have a wonderful New Year's.